Hello everyone, welcome to the Virtual League for Student Robotics 2025. I'm Jake, I'm going to be with you for the next amount of time as we run through these matches today. Today marks the start of the league for the Student Robotics 2025 competition. The first matches will be starting in just under 10 minutes time. Teams have been working on their virtual robots for an incredibly large amount of time, and they have been putting a huge amount of effort into this, and it all comes down to today. And to help me through this, I'm joined by I'm joined by Oscar. Oscar, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you, Jake. I'm really looking forward to today. We saw lots of interesting performances in the friendlies. I can't wait for it to get started. So, let's have a look at what we're actually going to be seeing today, the game. It's called Urban Heights. So, our teams have been hired by the city to shape its skyline. Their mission is to deliver vital pallets of materials to designated districts, but that's just the beginning. If they're up for the challenge, they can dive into constructing multi-story marvels for even greater rewards. The city is counting on them to build its future. So, this is a 4-robot game, and there are 9 scoring districts marked out by the white squares on the floor. Each of the 5 centre districts has a central high-rise, a slightly shorter one for the outer 4, and a tall one for the very middle. There are plenty of pallets for the teams to deliver to get their points. For these outer districts, they can get 1 point for each pallet in there. For the middle districts, they can get 2 points, and that one central district is worth a whopping 3 points. There is also 1 movement point up for grabs for leaving their starting zone. Now, if the teams manage to get the highest pallet in a district, they will double those points there. That's where these central high-rises will come in really useful. But now, let's have a closer look at the robot, Jake.
Yes, absolutely. So this is a picture of the robot that teams will be using for today's competition. Each team has exactly the same robot, but it can be distinguished by the color on the flag that we can see on this image. Um, there are multiple sensors that can be used to help out teams as they navigate their way through our arena. There is the lifting mechanism, which can be used to lift up those pallets, helped in part by the vacuum grabber that is stuck on the end of it. This can be used to grab onto said pallets and actually carry them up with the lifting mechanism, because a lifting mechanism is pointless if you can't actually carry something up with it. Additionally, on the fronts and I believe backs as well of the robot, there is a bump sensor to find out if and when a robot drives into something. I do say if and when because realistically it's sort of an inevitability that a robot will drive into things, intentionally or otherwise. On top of that, quite literally, there is a camera. This camera can be used to detect the fiducial markers which are attached to the pallets and to the edge of our arena walls that can be incredibly helpful for teams navigating around our arena and getting some very accurate movement. And last but by no means least, there is the ultrasound sensors placed on all 4 sides of the robot. These can be used to measure very accurate distances at incredibly small distances as well. So these can be accurate anywhere from about 3 or 4 centimeters up to about 4 meters. And these can be really, really helpful. Now, as I say, the 4 robots in all of the matches, they are going to be exactly the same. They all have exact access to the same sensors, the same mechanisms, and everything like that. When we move into the physical competition, hopefully there'll be a lot more diversity around these robots. But as for the simulator, everyone gets the same playing field. It is the code that makes the robots different. Now, this event wouldn't be much without matches. These matches are run on a schedule and are available on our website at studentrobotics.org. The scoring will also be updated there reasonably instantaneously, but there may be a short delay. Now, today we have a total of 23 matches. This gives the teams that have submitted their code 4 appearances in total. Now, we've just gone through quite a lot of information. We've talked about robots, we've talked about the game, we've talked about ourselves. Oscar, where can teams go to find out a little bit more information or talk to us or someone else?
Well, Jake, this is actually a live event, so we are here. We've got plenty of volunteer blue shirts in the chat looking for questions, and we can see it too. We can also see the Discord if we've got any competitors here. And that is true for the whole of the competition, not just today. If you've got any further questions or just want to find a bit more information, you should look at the docs on our website, studentrobotics.org/docs. There's plenty of information there for the more adventurous people. But speaking of information, here's some information about our sponsors. We wouldn't be able to do these amazing events without them. It takes a lot of time and effort, and we'd like to thank them all. In particular, we'd like to thank the UK Electronic Skills Foundation and the University of Southampton for their help. So, let's have a look at at the state of things so far, Jake.
Yes, let's. So, as we can see over here, yes, I pointed in the right direction. This is the state of the league table as we enter this virtual league. So, something you'll notice that's particularly interesting is A, some people do have points, but in my opinion, slightly more interestingly, there is a 16-way tie for second place. The reason for that is, the reason for both of these things is that teams have already been able to score points from the challenges. At the start of the competition, back in October, we set teams a number of challenges around sort of moving, sensing, and generally navigating things to try and bootstrap and kickstart their robotics building journey. From that, we award some points, so we can see some teams have been awarded the points from submitting one challenge, some teams have been awarded the points from 2 challenges, and RGS Guild, for their right at the top, have been awarded the points for having submitted all 3 challenges. Now, in today's competition, there are 4 appearances per team, so each team will play a grand total of 4 matches. That means there are 4 opportunities for them to earn points, both league points and game points. These points will carry over into the physical competition in April, where we will be awarding prizes for the winners of the various aspects of the competition, both from having competed on their physical robots. Now, like I mentioned earlier, all of these scores should be updated reasonably live as we progress through this actually live event. They will be published on our website and generally appear up on the screen. StudentRobotics.org is where you can find all of this information. It's possible the scores may be a match or 2 behind just as we progress things through and things update. Please bear with us. Rest assured, we have all the points. Everything is there. If it's a little bit late, it's not that you're going to miss out on points. Everything is there. Please just be patient. We will check in with the state of the league throughout the event.
So, I'd like to say good luck to all the teams. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the event. We will do our best to try and keep up. So, Jake, what are you particularly looking forward to?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we saw from Team MDN, the Jankler's Stacking Solutions robot, that actually they did really well in the friendlies a few months ago, and so I'm quite looking forward to seeing how they've been able to take the lessons they learned from the friendlies and apply those, take the lessons and everything they got, apply them into the virtual league where they actually can start winning those points. I think it's really important that teams get that chance to actually test their robots properly in a real environment. I find sort of teams who test well actually do particularly well. Now, as well, sort of, I know you're particularly interested in around some of the amounts of code that various teams submitted.
Yes, indeed. RGS are standing out with nearly 3,000 lines of code spread across 15 different files. It's really amazing how much some teams have managed to come up with. I'd like to point out that just their code is about a quarter of the code we've had across all the teams.
Yeah, so it is worth noting the amount of code doesn't necessarily mean huge amounts. It's very much quality over quantity, but you can do quite a lot of logic and quite a lot of complicated things with 2,956 lines of code. And so I'll be very interested to see what RGS are going to be able to do with it.
Indeed, I'm wondering if they've got several different strategies buried within there, depending on the state of things.
I think you might be right. It's entirely possible those lines aren't all executed, but I strongly suspect that you're right, that there are going to be different strategies based on either various things they were testing as a team, but also based on the state of the arena. Now, coming up very soon, in just 40 seconds, we have the first match of the Virtual League. And with this one, we have 4 teams all quote unquote in place, ready to start. In the green, there it is. In corner 0, we have PSC, we have Peter Simmons School. In the orange, we have Team QMC, Queen Mary's College. In the purple, we have BPV, the team from Barton Peveril down in Southampton. And HWM is Team Harris Westminster in the yellow. All teams in position ready to go. Now, let's see if things work. And we will start in 1. Let's go. Very nice, quick movement off the line there from Peter Simmons. Nicely going. It seems they seem to... I'm not entirely sure where they're going, though. They might be trying to steal Queen Mary's College's pallets. Not a particularly good strategy. Shunting them around won't necessarily do them much. In the meantime, Queen Mary's College have been able to pick up one set of pallets and drop them into one of those middle, straight onto the tower even, into that scoring zone, getting them 2 points.
Indeed. Peter Simmons seem to be driving around in circles at the moment, and they've grabbed hold of one of BPV's tokens. Unfortunately, they won't give themselves any points, but they could give their opponents points. They've got to be very careful here.
Yeah, just accidentally shunting those slightly in the wrong direction is going to make things very, very difficult for them, potentially giving points to their opponent. Now, a different way of looking at this is that potentially this could be some kind of strategy. By moving those pallets away from potentially where Barton Peveril are expecting them to. If Barton Peveril is expecting them not to have moved, suddenly now 2 of them have moved. So they won't necessarily be able to collect them quite as easily. Now, we would hope that from some level of intelligent movement, the Barton Peveril's robot would be able to use the fiducia markers that we can see on the pallets, detect where they actually are, as they're actually showing almost perfectly now, pick them up, and move them into their scoring zones. But while all this has been going on, Queen Mary's College silently have been moving through, that is, I believe, four pallets into that middle scoring zone now. It looks like they might be able to make it a 5th, just as the Harris Westminster robot springs into life in the final 45 seconds of this first match. Now, they are still moving reasonably slowly, unlike the Barton Peveril robot, but there is still plenty of time to earn points. The points are awarded based on where the pallets land when the clock hits 0. Anything can happen between the start of the match and then. What matters is how things are at the end. 20 seconds remaining now of this match. Barton Peveril's robots pallets are still being sort of dragged around by the Peter Simmons robot, and I'm not entirely sure what the Peter Simmons robot strategy is.
No, they appear to have knocked out one of QMC's pallets, possibly preventing them getting that last one into the zone. Looked like they were struggling to find it. And that's the end.
Yes, it is. That's very, very well done to all those teams, and a nice, strong start. Now, if we take a look here, we have a photo.
They're going for a spaceship. Not sure entirely what they want to do with that. Some movement down from haberdashers there. They get 2 asteroids immediately into their spaceship and then do something with their spaceship. Are they putting it into their corner to make it safe? Who knows what they're doing? 3
area
asteroids.
And so we can actually see here very, very slightly one corner of that pallet is actually outside of the district. And unfortunately, what that means, I'm afraid to say, is that that pallet is out. And so it does not count for the points for Queen Mary's College.
But I am not
a pallet
entirely
is only
certain from my
inside the district if the entire pallet is vertically within the district. And so unfortunately, we do not get those points.
Yes, so let's have a look at the scores. So in first place, not being hindered by that unfortunate pallet, a Queen Mary's College with 17 points. And then a joint tie for second place between the 3 remaining teams with just 1 point for that. And that's that vital movement point that can make all the difference. So, there's certainly some interesting moments there as we get ready for our second match now. Between, in the green corner, team
Oh, yes. Some of these TLAs can be really confusing.
There we go.
SHK. Who are they?
School of St. Helen and St. Catherine. There we are.
Yes, one of our rookie teams this year.
King Edward the... Yeah. KEG, King Edward VI Grammar. And BRK, Brockenhurst College. And they're off. All three of the robots moving out. And again, that Brockenhurst College appear to be a bit stuck. We've got King Edward School. Oh, straight away, one in. Interesting tactic going for a zone slightly further away. I wonder if that's in danger of being nudged by SHK. Oh, and they're claiming a second district there. Same as KEG. Some interesting tactics going on. And Team SHK, certainly, I think they appear to believe they've grabbed a pallet. They're just trying to put it in the zone, but unfortunately they've missed. Potentially not realising that KEV had knocked it out of place. Oh, and that was so close to being just on top of that central pillar there from KEV. Unfortunately, it's just bounced off. And SHK have managed to knock it out. Certainly an interesting tactic.
Yeah, lots of movement going on here. The orange pallets are spread quite far out over the arena. Like you say, they've gone for one outside of the School of St. Helens starting zone, which is a nice, interesting move to kind of spread things out a bit more, potentially sort of hedge their bets as to which ones are going to stay where they left them. I'm quite interested to see King Edward VI Grammar School. They've actually put a pallet on top of another pallet, potentially to try and ensure that their team is the one with the highest.
And I'd be interested to see in another match what St. Helens and St. Cat's do, because they appear to have some good strategy. They just haven't quite managed to grab hold of the pallet. Now, we're approaching the closing seconds of the match. And Brockenhurst College have made some moves, but not quite managed to get into a scoring zone. Still all to play for at the moment, though. King Edward School seem to have stopped with a pallet just stuck on there. Not quite sure what's happened there. King Edward Grammar still moving around. Oh, are they going for no, still turning. And just 9 seconds. I think it's all over now. Not much action left. And that's it.
Yes, there we go. That's the end of match number 1. Now, quite interestingly here, we can see the King Edward VI School. They're lifting that pallet above one of the districts. Now, because of the vertical projection, theoretically, we could have considered that in. It wouldn't be considered the highest because the highest pallet can't be in contact with a robot. But potentially, if they had been all of 1 second slower, potentially that could have been awarded to them. In this case, unfortunately, it wasn't, but it's still very interesting nonetheless. Now, again, we're seeing some quite interesting matches coming out of this. Sometimes we see in some of these virtual competitions that sort of some of the earlier matches, or even some of the some matches in general, just sort of are a bit slow moving. This one, we've got pallets sort of spread all over the place.
It's interesting seeing what strategies teams employ here and then comparing those strategies to what they do in the physical competition. This is generally an indicator of things they might have tried, though depending on their physical design, their actual strategy can be completely different.
Yeah, there's nothing that says that a team has to submit the same code for the virtual league as they do for the physical one. They can make any and all changes they like right up into it. Now, in fact, with the physical competition, they can even change their code in between matches. Now, speaking of matches, we actually have another one coming up, funnily enough. We have match number 2, the third match of today. In corner 0, we have Team HAB, Haberdashers. In the orange, we have Team NHH, an acronym that my brain can't quite remember off the top of its head, which is very annoying. We have RGS Guildford in the purple, and in the yellow, we have Hampton School, Team HAM, who are, in fact, there we go, Noah Hill School, Team NHH, are very, very quick up the line there, lining up very promptly towards that first pallet in the same way that haberdashers have done. They have nicely picked that one up very, very quickly, both almost in mirror unison, dropping them. Unfortunately, haberdashers one looks like it's bounced out of their of that district. That's unfortunate to see. And NHH, unfortunately, they dropped their one almost back where they found it and decided this other pallet actually is going to be much better for building the tower that they need here. Which, now they've dropped it, picked it up, dropped it again, and unfortunately it did fall off of that central high-rise, but it is still nicely within that district, scoring them 2 points for that pallet. Now,
NHH appearing to be trying to pick up one of our pillars here. I'm not quite sure what they're thinking there.
No, those pillars are definitely far too heavy to lift.
Oh, grabbed a second one, although they appear to be doing a bit of tilting and leaning. Oh, straight into the wall. That's what those bump sensors are for. We did warn you.
Bring on the wall! I mean, what? Yes. Now, it looks like Team Haberdasher's robot is actually getting its wheel caught slightly by that central pedestal. It's possible they've got themselves a little bit caught there. Hopefully they will be able to dislodge themselves in the final minute. But Hampton School, however, taking full advantage of the other three robots, not moving around at all, and by the looks of it, going straight for that central high rise. Let's see, their arm is lifted up high enough. Yes, can they drop it? No, not quite. Oh, that's so unfortunate. And from here, it even looks like it's bounced out of the district entirely. Just as Argus Guildford springs back into life, remembers that it is in fact here to build towers, not just stare out into the emptiness of outside of our arena.
Yeah. Oh, they appear to be driving all over the arena now. Not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah, and they nudged the Now Hill School's set of pallets out of the district. That is unfortunate to see. Now, there's 10 seconds left. Lots of movement going on. It looks like Hampton School might be trying to line up towards one of their pallets. If they can nudge it in, they might get some extra points. But can they? 2, 1, and there we go. That is the end of that match. Fantastic performances, all-round teams. Very, very well done. Oscar, that was quite the match.
It was indeed. Lots of early action that then seemed to be undone later by other robots. That just shows you what can happen in these matches. So, let's go through the scores for that match. Team HAM, Hampton School, winning out with the 5 points there. That was certainly a good move with that pallet on top of the high-rise, doubling its worth. And again, a joint tie for second between the other three teams, all with that single movement point. So unfortunate for NHH having that pallet knocked out of its zone.
Yeah, they had a fantastic start to that match. They were doing really, really well. They moved nice and quickly off the line, made sure they used a full advantage of the entire match time. But unfortunately, it's possible that whilst they've got a nice amount of strategy for the first part, once they run out, their robot potentially still needs to build that strategy. And so hopefully as we progress into the competition, they've clearly got, for lack of a pun, all the building blocks there. They just need to bring everything together and actually get slightly more strategy in. But they are doing incredibly well, particularly for a team who has never competed in Student Robotics before.
Indeed. Now, on to our next match. In green corner, we have HAY, the Hayden School. In orange, WGS, Wisbech Grammar School. In pink, CLY, College of Richard Collier. And in that yellow, HRO, Headington Rye School, Oxford. Okay, and we're just starting the match. And they're off. All teams making it nicely out of their starting zones. That's a good, looking promising for some points. HRO robot not quite sure what it's doing, heading straight for a wall. Meanwhile, we've got COI attempting to line up on one of their pallets, but not quite doing it there. Oh, appears to be some robot fighting going on in that corner there between HRO, COY and WGS. They appear to be trying to grab onto each other.
Yeah, I don't know what will happen there with those mechanisms. Theoretically, there's nothing preventing the vacuum pump from sucking onto another robot, apart from whatever interesting physics is implemented inside the Weebot simulator.
Yes. Now, on the other two robots appear to have stalled. Not quite sure what's happened there. Potentially, HOY are stuck on that central high-rise, and HRO are stuck on the wall. That just goes to show that some of the physics in here can prove very interesting.
Yeah, there's only so much we can do with a simulator like this. The real world can also be very different, but hopefully the simulator is a reasonable approximation of how some things will behave in the real world. And if you get stuck on a high rise in the simulator, you may well get stuck on a high rise in the physical competition.
Now, Colliers have managed to successfully pick up a pallet, but they just appear to be driving around in circles. Oh, they look to have found the... Oh, no. Oh, and it looks like it's just hit WGS robot, potentially rolling out of that zone. And now WGS have picked up one of Collier's pallets. Certainly an interesting move there.
Yeah, not sure what that strategy is about.
No, trying to now put it down, pick it up. Oh, and now Colliers are going back for a second one of their own pallets. Are they lined up enough to pick it up? Oh,
I think they might be.
Quite sure.
Yeah. Let's see if they've got it. They've got 15 seconds. It's still plenty to play for.
Yes, but looking at the state of it, I can't see any pallets in districts yet. Oh, no. Oh, and that's it. So, certainly one of the quieter matches here, resulting in a 4-way tie with 1 point each.
Yeah, that's definitely a surprise. Yeah, not quite as much action in this match, but there is still quite a lot going on. We've got a lot of different robots trying a lot of different strategies. And I think as the matches progress, particularly as the competition progresses, teams will be able to take this and learn from what other teams are doing, what their robot is doing, what's done well, what hasn't done, iterate on it, and then when we get to the physical competition in April, performance is going to be really impressive. This is a complicated game. Building a simulated robot, sure, it's 3 months. It's a lot to do in 3 months. I think the fact that teams have got something that even moves is commendable at the very least, and the fact that teams are scoring points so well is really, really great.
Certainly, yes. It'd be interesting to see if any teams tailor their strategies depending on their opponents when we get to the physical competition. Potentially that could certainly make for some interesting matchups. If you know one team always goes for that central high rise, potentially they might choose to knock them off and go there themselves.
We've seen in some previous competitions where teams have actually tailored their strategy based not only on what corner they're in, but also which teams they're up against and which corners they are in. In this one, teams didn't know ahead of time. In the physical one, a team will know what corner they're in, who they're up against. If they want to quickly tailor their strategy, they can. They can do some very sneaky things. Match number 4 coming up in 10 seconds. We have Hazelwick, we have St. Olaf's, we have the Ladies College, and we have Team NDM, Midsummer Norton Friends. Let's go. Very quick movement of the line there from the bottom 2 teams. We have the Ladies College in the pink on the right-hand side, and we have the MDN team in the yellow. They've picked up their first pallet. They're driving somewhat straight towards, and in fact moving one of the Ladies College Guernsey's pallets at the same time. Not quite into a district, but still giving them points anyway. In the meantime, the Ladies College Guernsey have picked up one of their own pallets, dropped it onto a high rise, giving them 2 points, potentially doubled to 4 if they remain the highest.
Now, Jankler Stacking Solutions, MDN, they've managed to get a pallet into that central district. Not quite sure if the Ladies College's pallet is in or not. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Hazelwick have made some action, nearly getting one of their pallets in.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's not quite on the line, but it's very close. It wouldn't take much for either them or another robot to nudge that in over just a little bit further, giving them 1 point from that one. And sometimes 1 point really can make all the difference in a competition. Now, we have got the MDN robot are now... Oh, they were moving towards that central one, potentially to add more. It's possible they were trying to find out where it is. They're lining up towards a pallet. Let's see what happens now. They're lining up nicely towards... Oh, no, they've dropped it down very quickly. They decided, nope, they're not going to go for the high rises. They're going to go for quickly putting things potentially onto the district on the arena floor. This is going to be much quicker for them. And in fact, even stacking is also going to work apparently quite well, rather than trying to spend the time and effort organizing exactly how to line up onto that raised platform. That could be a really interesting strategy.
From the rest. Now it's all quiet from the rest of the arena, so it's just MDN left moving. Quickly creating a stack of 3 pallets.
Yeah, that is the first stack of 3 we've seen in the competition so far, and it looks like they're celebrating by dancing around the arena for the remaining 20 seconds, potentially. But it's a nice strategy from them. Why bother trying to put pallets on top of the high-rise if you can just stack them up yourselves a little bit faster? The point is to get them in the district and reasonably high up. If you're just going to focus on getting them in the district, that's fine. If you can do it quickly, that might be worth the extra points if it takes you twice as long to put them up onto the high-rise. There we go. That is the end of match number 4, the 5th match for today. Oscar, lots of things moving around in this match.
Yes, certainly. Really impressed by MDN, but of course they did very well in the friendlies, so it's nice to see that they've improved their strategy further. Now that has netted them a whopping 25 points in first place.
Yes, it has. Now, let's take a quick look at the league table in the state so far. Now, we've had almost everyone has had 1 total appearance in this, which is why you'll see most teams have some number of game points, and the league points have now been shuffled up nicely. There are a couple of teams that haven't quite had their first appearance yet, but these will all get balanced out. By the end, they will have the correct number. Now, we have in here, we have all of these teams, and nicely at the top, RGS Guildford proving that if you can earn a large number of points from the challenges, you will step out quite far ahead. MDN have done incredibly well in the matches they've had so far, but those points earned from the challenges are nicely there, showing RGS Guildford are taking full advantage of those points.
However, Team MDN still have a challenge to complete, so that could close that gap even further.
Yeah, that could be very, very interesting. Now, I believe we have match number 5 coming up reasonably soon. Yes, we do.
Yep, here we are. So, a first appearance for ABS in the green corner, HRO in the orange, PSC in the pink, and SHK in the yellow. Now, let's get ready in 5 seconds. And they're off. And we've got ABS nicely moving out of the starting zone, heading straight for one of their pallets. HRO appear to be stuck on the wall again, not quite sure what's going on there. PSC seem to be driving all over the arena. Oh, and they appear to have collided with the ABS robot, not quite sure what's happening there. Oh, and they're moving around again. Again, Peter Simmons employing a very interesting strategy here. I can't quite work out their aim.
No, they're sitting in a different team's district that they've now aimed. I wonder if they're maybe thinking of trying to steal that one and try and sabotage?
Potentially, or have they perhaps forgot to check which zone they're in when choosing their strategy? That could prove a costly mistake. Yes, that could certainly prove a costly mistake if they're targeting the same zone each time, instead of the one they start in. Now, quietly in the background, SHK have managed to get a pallet on top of the central high-rise in that central district. Certainly proving valuable there. And HRO seem to have stuck on that wall again. I think they did that in their last match. Not quite sure what's happened there.
Yeah, possibly a software bug, but teams will get all the logs they need to try and debug things ready for that physical competition.
Yeah. Oh, and the PSC robot appears to be slowly pushing that ABS pallet. Not quite sure what they're doing there. Still, not much of the match left, and it appears ABS are the only team still moving. Or they were. Have they locked up with the PSC robot? Oh, and some last-minute action from SHK. Slowly moving in. They've got plenty of time to get one of those pallets into a district if they can just line up on it. Not quite managing it yet. Oh, and Peter Simmons have grabbed hold of the ABS pallet, pulling it out of the district. I'm not quite sure if that was intentional or not, but it should prove interesting if they can replicate it in a later match.
Yeah, and if they could keep it out in this one.
Now, just 6 seconds left, some last minute action, but doesn't look like anything's going to lead anywhere, and we are done. So, let's have a look. Now, I'm not quite sure if that ABS pallet was in, so let's have a closer look. And it is in, definitely, so if it's completely on the tape, that is counted as in. That means that ABS have won this match by 1 point.
Yeah, like I said earlier, that 1 point really can make all the difference. Now, as far as game points are concerned, yes, 1 point is just 1 point. But in this case, because they earn 1 point, they get an extra 2, I think, league points. And that can make a difference as far as counting up first and second. And the league can have a very, very big impact as to how the team fares in the knockouts. That league table is used to seed a double elimination knockout, something that will be explained when we move into the physical competition in April. But the idea being that the higher you are up in the league, the easier journey you will have through into the knockouts, and hopefully with all teams aiming towards that grand final.
Now, I can just see in the chat there's a bit of conversation going on about the NHH incident. What robots do when they're in the arena is completely allowed. That knocking out is allowed. It's just an unfortunate case. NHH might need to bear in mind their strategy for wild robots driving around.
Yeah, anyone can move any pallet of any teams at any time. That's what makes things so interesting. Now, speaking of interesting, let's see how we move into match number 6. All teams are in and ready. We have Brockenhurst in the green. We have Harris Westminster in the orange. We have Team NHH, Now a Hill Score, the rookie team, in the purple, in the pink even. And in the yellow, we have Hayden School, Team HAY. Now again, like we saw last time, NHH are very, very quick off that line, wasting no time grabbing that first pallet and trying to move it into position. Let's see, can they get it on top of that high rise? Yes, no, maybe no, not quite. And it just rolls outside of that district as well. That's very unfortunate to see. This kind of accurate movement to get those pallets is incredibly important. Those high rises are not as large as they look. They're only slightly larger than the set of pallets. And so they do need to be on reasonably securely to make sure that they stay there. Now, interestingly, that pallet there almost appears to be stuck to the grabber there. Having now just dislodged itself, of course, making me seem very silly. But that was very interesting. Now, NHH are now, by the looks of it, trying to line up towards a second one of theirs. Yes, moving very quickly back towards the starting zone with incredible precision there. By the looks of it, trying to line up to the next central district, which actually currently has a Hayden School sitting in it.
Just a little bit of action from Brockenhurst there. They've managed to leave their starting zone and line up on one of their pallets. Let's see if they manage to get it in a scoring district.
Yeah, unfortunately they're currently moving the wrong way. They've just been able to nudge it over that white line into the Hayden's quadrant of the arena. Now, where those pallets land does not matter if they're outside of a district. They count for nothing. It's only pallets in a district that count for any points. So currently they need to move another pallet slightly further in towards that, towards one of the districts to score themselves some points. Now, now school again, they had a pallet. They seem to have dropped it though. That's unfortunate. In the last sort of 30 seconds, they've been skirting across the bottom of our arena there. Not entirely sure what their plan is, but they seem to have been doing pretty well in the competition so far.
It's all gone quiet in these last moments of the match. All gone quiet. Just proves that if a robot gets stuck, that can be the end of it. So teams have got to make sure that their driving is precise.
Yes, they do. Accurate movement really does count for a lot. And there is match number 6. Over. Very, very well done, teams. Very well done. NHX, they're just scraping through there in first place with all the other teams getting joint second. Now, because of this, there is, with some of those joins and ties, some teams are going to get varying numbers of points, and they're going to get a lot of teams being equal. But as the competition progresses, as the variance increases, as the number of appearances increases, teams that are doing particularly well are going to start to stick out and raise ahead. And so as we progress through this league today, we should be able to see exactly what how those do. And we can see there RGS again proving that getting those points from the first set of challenges is doing them really, really well.
Yes, it's important to note that Hayden School there, though they didn't get many game points, because they managed to get just that, maybe 1 or 2 points more, got a massive amount of league points, jumping them up to 3rd place.
Yes, fantastic. Now, I believe coming up reasonably soon, we have, funnily enough, after match number 6 that we've just played is, I'm reasonably sure, match number 7.
Indeed, and it also marks the last first appearances from Team MAI, Gymnasium Markstadt Interdorf, all the way from Germany, and THS. Last of the first appearances now. Alongside them, we have KEV and WGS, both who have shown some interesting strategies so far. Now, getting into 10 seconds left.
Yeah, these are going to be very interesting. Team MAI have done incredibly well. They've been competing in Student Robotics longer than I have been, and they are going to be an incredible team to keep an eye on.
And we are off! True to Jake's word, MAI moving swiftly out of their starting zone, attempting to line up on one of their pallets. Potentially some interesting interaction with the KEV robot there. It might have knocked their pallet off. Not quite sure. And WGS grabbing one of the THS pallets. Fortunately, that won't score them any points and could even give away points instead. See if it manages to land in a scoring zone. Oh, KV attempting to line up on that central high-rise. And they have managed to do it, dropping it nicely on there. Let's wait and see if it remains there at the end of the match. Now, THS have quietly managed to get a pallet on top of the outer high-rise. WGS still playing around with one of those orange pallets. Oh, MAI moving up on their second pallet. Interesting, they appear to have knocked their first pallet out of the scoring zone. We'll have to see what happens next with it. It's interesting strategy there. I wonder if wondering if they were trying to place it on top of the first one, getting that double height. And now they've grabbed that one they've just placed in there and they've taken it out of the arena again. I think we might be dealing with more of our interesting physics.
Yeah, physics can be particularly interesting, but what was quite interesting to see there is just a few moments ago we had the THS Highfield School knocking one of the pallets of King of the Six Schools off of that central high-rise, stealing the points away from them. A nice proof there to see that actually, yes, sabotage is a strategy that does work.
Yes, certainly going to prove interesting if they can manage to employ similar tactics in the real competition, where they can tailor it if they know a team always goes for that central high-rise. Now, it doesn't look like there's much more action going on. The MAI robot appears to be looking for a pallet, but it's possibly too close to be able to find it. Oh, no, still some more wild driving. As we approach the closing seconds of the match, it's all looking over. Oh, just thought MAI were going to have it. And that is the end of the match.
Yeah, very, very strong performances there from all teams. Not entirely sure why the arena didn't go red, but the match is over nonetheless. Fantastic performances there from all teams. Lots of pallets sort of spread around various places, but it is nice to see there that a team have been able to put their pallet on top of the largest high rise.
Yes. Now, it's important to note that THS have managed to get a pallet on top of 2 high rises, which means that they have doubled the points in 2 separate districts. That has led to their total of 11 points, giving them first place.
Very, very well done teams there, yes. Now, we're getting through, we're sort of, about a third of the way through the matches so far. Teams are getting nice numbers of points. We're seeing some very good performances and quite a lot of variability as well. Like, different teams are trying different things. Like, some teams are going for sabotage, some teams are going for the ones that are for the districts that are further away, some teams are just doing screw it, go straight for the center. And I think it's that variability that makes these, makes the matches that bit more interesting to watch and to commentate, but also it means that sort of teams and how they interact with each other can be completely different. If 2 teams go for that central part, they're going to conflict. If their strategies are different, they're not. And that gives a nice amount of variability in exactly how teams are going to perform, and shows that you do sometimes need to account for, well, almost everything.
Yes, now we've got 2 strong teams in this next match. QMC and KEG averaging 17 and 14 game points respectively in their previous matches. Now,
yeah, let's get going. Match number 8. We have very quick movement off the line there from King of the Six and Haberdashers. Haberdashers just missing their set of pallets, potentially trying to lift up the central high rise, which is definitely not going to work, but we'll commend it nonetheless. King Edward VI Grammar School, they've picked up 1 pallet and are lining up towards the high rise. Queen Mary's College showing them exactly how it should be done, nicely picking up 1 pallet straight on, almost perfectly aligned onto that high rise. The King Edward VI Grammar School following just behind, and Hazelwick School in the bottom left just behind them. That's 3 pallets on top of 3 high rises. Potentially Queen Mary's College going for another one. Now that's an interesting tactic. They're going for stacking pallets on top of other pallets. I guess they've identified that yes, you can use that lifting mechanism to lift them 3 high like that, and so this does give them the benefit of knowing that no other robot can place their pallets on top of theirs, stealing the district from them. There is also an interesting point on, they are actually going again for that same district again with Run on the Floor, potentially going for making sure that they get as many in one district rather than trying to put all of their eggs in multiple baskets.
Indeed, indeed. Of course, that means that they will make the most of that doubling effect, though it means they are vulnerable to any team that can drive round and just accidentally knocks them all out.
Yeah, just under a minute left now, and that's 4 pallets now in one district there for Queen Mary's College. That is a lot of points, and in fact, it looks like King Edward VI might be going for a similar kind of thing. They've got 3 pallets inside their scoring district, or at least one of them. It looks like they might be trying to line up with the central one, but Haberdashers is having none of it.
Yes. Now, I believe that those Hazelwick tokens weren't actually deposited by them, but instead by Haberdashers. Some very generous behaviour there.
Yeah, that's an interesting tactic. This is a competition after all. It's fun, it's free-spirited, but it is a competition. Giving points to your opponent is not a very good way of competing. Now, King Edward VI School, they've dropped a pallet on top. It looked like there for a second that Haberdashers was going to knock it off. Queen Mary's College, they were lining up as well, but not quite. And that is the end of match number 8. Very, very well done, teams. Very well done. Lots of high-scoring points again, like we've seen. Now, King Edward, Team KEG, King Edward's Grammar School, they've been doing this for a very long time. QMC, Queen Mary's College, they've been doing this for a really long time as well. And I think some of that experience is showing. They're doing incredibly well in these competitions. 19 and 17 points respectively from them. These are some high-scoring matches for some very veteran teams.
Yes, as a QMC alumni myself, I was really able to take advantage of some of the work previous years had done just on the basics of the vision and movement system. Just goes to show while the game is different each year, these core behaviours aren't.
Yeah, some of the general strategies for how can we move around around an arena properly, accurately, that kind of thing. That is knowledge you can learn. You can pass on to the competitors that are coming after you. Sorry, and get that sort of institutional knowledge, build some things up, and get some incredible performances. But I think that almost, whilst that sounds like it's going to be great for the veteran teams, I think that actually says more about the rookie teams. They don't have that. They don't have that institutional knowledge, and yet some of them do incredibly well. We've got teams in varying places of the league, and I think that shows that, yeah, it's not just about the institutional knowledge. Sometimes if you are passionate enough, if you know what you're doing, if you have an idea, you have a vision, and you have the passion, you can do a heck of a lot.
Indeed, and now let's move into our next match. We've got Barton Peveril in green, Hampton in orange, St. Olave's in pink, and Colliers in yellow. And now, 3, 2, 1, and they're off! Some movement from 3 of the robots there. St. Olave's unfortunately not managing to get off the mark. A similar thing happened in their last match. They're going to have to pay close attention to those logs and see if they can work out what went wrong. Now, we've got Colliers slowly making motions there. They appear to be trying to pick up one of those pallets, but not quite sure what's going on there. And it appears that Hampton had a ghost pallet there, thinking that they'd picked it up, but not quite managing to line it up. And Barton Peveril spinning around in circles. Wonder if they're not quite sure where they are. Oh, seems to be a bit more action going on. Hampton managing to pick up another one of those pallets. Are they able to line it up on the zone? We'll have to wait and see. Again, Peveril still just spinning around. Meanwhile, Colliers have been quietly accumulating a second pallet, aiming for the central, and they've managed to get it on that high rise. That could prove very useful. Same as Hampton's there on that high rise. Now, possibly some more action from Barton Peveril. Oh no, I thought they'd managed to line up, but not quite. Colliers again moving slowly with a pallet towards that same district. And they've gone for the double stack again. As Jake said previously, it means nothing can be stacked on top, meaning that they're very likely to get the highest pallet there.
It means that with this robot, there's nothing that says a physical robot can't put one even higher, I think.
Yes. Yeah, no, there's not. It just goes to show that the versatility and variability of the physical robots can dictate the team's strategy. Whether they go for a 3 high or a 4 high, it's up to them. Now, Barton Peveril have managed to move away from their spinning, but still not quite managed to grab hold of a pallet. Oh. Now, not quite sure what Colliers are doing. Are they nudging that pallet? Whatever it was, didn't quite pay off in time.
Yeah, it looks like they were trying to bump that backwards. It's not a particularly accurate way of moving, but it does result in movement. So I guess it does move a pallet, which I guess is the entire point of this. And you can, in fact, do quite a lot in this game with just shunting and pushing pallets around. You don't need to lift them onto the high rises. If you can accurately push them around nice and quickly, that might offset some of the bonuses you'd get by putting a pallet onto the high rise. Some people might want to do more on the floor quickly, some people might want to do fewer, but on high rises. The main thing is to get points. The point, pun not intended, of doing this is to score those points. How you do it is up to you, so long as you follow our rules, of course.
Indeed. It means that potentially we could see some hybrid robots in the physical competition, employing some pushing to get lots in there, and then some lifting to try and get those doubles in place.
Yeah, now let's see what is going to be coming up in our next match. We have match number 10, hopefully the 11th match of the competition, because counting from 0 is exactly what we like to do for reasons other than just confusing. We have, in match number 10, we have Team THS. They are the Highfield School. We have Team TLC, the Ladies College Guernsey. We have Hayden School, HAY, in the pink and or purple, depending on who you are, or if you're Alistair, magenta, which I disagree with. And of course, in the yellow, we have RGS Guildford sitting at the top of our league table at the moment. Yes. And this match will get underway in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin. Some very quick movement there from the Ladies College, as we've seen before. They're lining up straight towards that pallet, getting in very nicely. Not quite as quick as RGS Guildford. They just missed that pallet. They were moving it. They didn't quite grab onto it to drag it with them. Now, the Highfield School there as well. They've grabbed a pallet. They're turning nice and slowly, because slow movement can be much, much more accurate than driving around zipping as quick as you possibly can. Let's see. Can they deposit that pallet onto the high-rise? Yes, they can. Fantastic. That is 2 points for them at least, potentially doubled to 4 if no one else puts a pallet higher than theirs in that district. Now, the Ladies College School there up in the orange in the top right-hand corner, they have been able to drop one pallet onto the high-rise, but it seems their robot has actually stopped at the moment. Now, while some teams are able to do exactly one thing, they do it really, really well. We do tend to see that if a team can keep their robot moving, keep trying to do things, they quite often will be able to get a second pallet down, a third pallet down, various things like that. And so generally making sure that your robot keeps trying as much as it can is a very, very good strategy. And as we can see here, nicely shown by the Highfield School, they have now 2 pallets sitting on top of 2 high-rises, giving them quite a few game points. There's still a minute left. There's still plenty to play for. RGS Guildford and Hayden School both yet to score points, but 1 minute they can suddenly spring into life, as we've seen so many times in competitions before. Just because a robot is sat there not moving doesn't mean it's not thinking, doesn't mean their code isn't running, doesn't mean that suddenly they will spring into life and score a bunch of points. You never know.
It's important to note that there is that movement point as well, which, while it might not make the difference in a match, it could mean that it could help if there's a tie in the league table.
Yes, those game points, league points are based on where you finish in a match. So, for example, first place, second place, third place, things like that. The game points are what are based on where pallets land, things like that. Game points obviously used to create league points. Those game points, they're not useless as far as the league table is going. If you have a tie in league points, they're broken by game points. So all points are valuable.
Now,
there we go. That is the end of match number 10.
Yes. We have THS Highfield School managing to win with 11 points there. That does show you the effect of the doubling mechanic. With just 2 pallets, they managed to get 11 points.
Yes, nicely done there from the Highfield School. In fact, they're one of our rookie teams this year. So this shows that, you know what? It's not all about having that institutional knowledge. Sometimes, if you have good ideas, if you persevere, you can do incredibly well. And that shows in this match alone. And I'm sure that will progress throughout, the rest of today, but also into that physical competition in April. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what their physical robot can do if their virtual robot can work like this.
Yeah, now, with most teams having had 2 appearances now, let's have a look at the league. So, RGS still managing to cling on to that top point despite not scoring many game points.
We'll have to only by 3 league points though. That's half a match. Like that could swing very, very quickly.
Yes. Now, top are all fairly clustered together. Between 1st and 9th, there's only 10 league points. That's just over a match. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in this next set of matches. So, speaking of matches, who's playing? Let's have a look. We've got WGS in green, Brockenhurst in orange, Hazelwick in pink, and Peter Simmons in yellow. Now, and they are off. Two of the robots charging straight out of the arena. Seems like they're looking for tokens.
You'd hope that's what they're doing.
Yes, you'd hope so. We've got Wizbeck appearing to pick up one of the Brockenhurst tokens. Not quite sure what their aim is. Perhaps we're going to see some more generosity. Okay, and we've got Hazelwick managing to grab hold of a pallet. Moving forward, they appear to have caught themselves on the Wizbeck robot, taking it for a drive.
Yeah, that's interesting. Robots can absolutely... This is a non-contact sport, but bumps like that are inevitable. Robots will drive into each other sometimes.
Yes. Now, Peter Simmons' robot, not quite sure what's happened there. It appears to have stuck itself on the central high-rise. Perhaps we'll see it spring into life later. That does go to show that institutional knowledge isn't everything, as they are one of our longer performing teams. We've got Hazelwick again, potentially looking for another pallet to pick up. Not quite sure. And we've got... I've been corrected, it's Wiz Beach moving around. They're not quite sure what they're doing. They appear to be aiming for Brockenhurst pallets. We'll have to see what happens later. Now, Brockenhurst driving around at the top of your arena. I wonder if they're looking for a pallet to pick up.
Yeah, they're surrounded. There's 6 pallets there, 3 of which are theirs. They could pick them up, but my guess is potentially they're looking, in fact, for a high-rise rather than a pallet, and potentially their code has got a little bit stuck.
Yes. Now, Hazelwick appear to have nudged both of those pallets out of their zone. That's an unfortunate thing there, as one of them was their own, meaning that it will no longer be scoring any points. Now, it's all looking to be quieting down as we approach the close of the match. And final closing moments here. Ooh, some life from Brockenhurst in the last seconds, but unfortunately, it was not quite enough.
Yeah, we saw the same from Wizbeef sitting at the top of the arena. They grabbed one of the green pallets. Unfortunately, not one of theirs, but it's grabbing a pallet nonetheless, driving it away. There is an equally valid strategy. While some people are going to go for either trying to move their own pallets into districts, another strategy, just if you want to be really, really annoying, is to just hide other people's pallets. It makes them harder for them to score points. It is a costly move. Time spent sabotaging another team is time you won't be able to score any points yourself. But again, you can do whatever you like with other people's pallets. No one needs to know.
Indeed. Now, looking at who's playing in this next match, we've got some very interesting points here as we look ahead.
Yeah, we have the Team NHH, one of our rookie teams, now a Hill School, in the green. And we have in the orange, we have a team doing incredibly well. Again, a rookie team. We have MDM, Midsummer Norton Friends. We have in the pink, we have Abingdon School, a long-time Student Robotics competitors, competing team at the very least, in corner number 2. And in 3, we have KEV, one of the King Edward VI schools. This is King Edward VI school in, King Edward VI school in the yellow. Now, this again, there's a lot of teams. I'm particularly interested in MDN. Like we saw in the friendlies, they did incredibly well there, and so far they are doing fantastically in this physical competition. game points at the moment, they have, I think they are in fact third in game points throughout the competition so far. So match number 12, let's get it underway. There we are, quick movement from all 4 teams, just what I like to see. Almost in mirror there. We have in the bottom, we have Abingdon and King Edward VI. In the top, we have Nower Hill, and we have Team MDN, Shankler's Stacking Solutions, as they have decided to call themselves. If you're a competitor team wanting to change your team's name, please just let us know in Discord. Now, Nower Hill School, again, they have dropped 1 pallet inside one of the districts. Fantastic. It's not on top of a high-rise, but it's in there nonetheless, and they will get points for it. Now, that second one, not quite there. Just inside the district, fantastic, but not quite on top of that high-rise. Speaking of high-rises, that's just what Team MDN have decided they don't care about. That is 2 pallets sitting on top of each other inside that central district. Potentially looks like they might try and go for a 3rd stacked on top of each other. 3 pallets of theirs inside that central district, one of which being the highest. That is an incredibly large number of points, all within the first minute of this match, and there is still plenty of time for them to score even more points. Now,
yes, now in a previous match, KEV managed to get a pallet onto the central high-rise, but it was just knocked off, so it'll be interesting to see if they can manage that again.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Sometimes you do need to, because of the weights of these pallets, you do need to make sure they are on fairly securely. That's for almost 5 pallets in that central area for Team MDN. Incredible number of points. Abingdon there nicely getting 2 pallets inside that outer district. Looking like they're going for a 3rd. With 40 seconds, they can absolutely do it. Oh, actually, they might be going for that central one. And, now this is going to be interesting. That's 1 on top of that central pedestal on the high-rise for them, but that is 5 inside for Team MDN. How that weighs out with the number of points is going to be incredibly interesting. I'm looking forward to diving into that a bit after this. But for now, in the final 15 seconds, it looks like there's some movement from Nower Hill School's lifting mechanism, which is lifting some of these elusive, invisible pallets that score absolutely no points and don't interact with anything at all. But a team has found one nonetheless, I guess. And there we go. That is the end of the match. Now, I, for one, am particularly interested in seeing exactly what is up with that central point. Now, let's take a look at this. So, what we have here is the line we can see there. That is, from what I can see, that is 2 pallets there outside of the district. Unfortunately, that entire stack is out and does not score any points. That is unfortunate. The stack of 3, however, is in for them. Nice
yes,
number of points there. Fantastic.
So unfortunate with that 2
Yeah,
stack.
that is a real shame. You do have to be incredibly close. Those districts are smaller than they look. But given that number of points and the fact that 3 stacked pallets is higher than a pallet sitting on top of a high-rise, Team MDN actually won that match by just 2 game points, 10 points to 8. Still incredible performances from both of those teams, Team MDN and Abingdon School ABS. Wow, we're seeing some great performances from teams. This is far more than I could have possibly imagined.
Indeed. And this is just showing how your strategy can be impacted by who you're playing. Now, let's have a look who's playing in this next match. Match 13. Will anyone be unlucky? In Zone 0, green we have Colliers. In orange, we have School of St Helen and St Catherine. In pink, we have the Highfield School, and in yellow, we have QMC. Now, some high scores so far from QMC and THS, although SHK have been inconsistent. We'll have to see what happens. And they are off. All 4 teams moving nicely out of their starting zones. And we've got QMC picking up a pallet. Let's see. And the same for Colliers. And now the same for the other 2 teams. Homing in on one of those pallets. Can they all successfully get it in a zone? Have to wait and see. Oh, and that's so unlucky for Colliers. Looks like they were aiming to get it on top of the high rise, but it just rolled off, showing how key aligning yourself up is. Oh, SHK making a play for that central district. Oh, and the same things just happened to them. There is not much space on top of those high rises. You've got to be really exact. Now, moving on. Quietly working away there, QMC managed to get a third pallet in that district, accruing some very important game points there. Now, we've got the Highfield School slowly moving for that central high rise, and they've managed to take it. That could prove very important. They've managed to get a high pallet in 2 districts, meaning that if it can stay that way, we're looking at 2 doublings of points. Now, oh, SHK managing to line up on another pallet. Let's see where they're aiming for.
It looks like it's that central district.
Yes. Now, are they going to knock... Oh, they've managing to knock off the Highfield School's pallet. That is...
Oh, that's unfortunate. But it did land in the district still, so the Highfield School will get some points, if not a doubling.
Yeah, well, they've still got some time to try and get some more points, so let's see. Meanwhile, Collier's robot driving around in circles again. Wonder what it's looking for. Have to wait and see. Now, quietly working away, QMC managed to get lots of pallets in that district. Have to see what happens with this last one in the final seconds. And that is the end of the match.
Yeah, you see quite a lot having done competitions like this. I do love a bit of a token steal. They're nicely done there. School of St. Helens and Catherine's stealing the high spot quite literally from the Highfield School, doing incredibly well, showing that yes, that is going to get them quite a lot of points. So incredibly well done there from all teams. Now, the Highfield School, they did have the high pallet in a different district, so they will get additional points for that, but the doubling isn't in place for that central district.
Yes, certainly. Although I'm interested to see if SHK continue to employ that strategy of attempting twice at that central high rise, if they'll actually knock their own pallet out of the district in future. I'll have to see if they've got any logic for that.
It's definitely possible. If it's not theirs on the top, they could very easily... I mean, at least if they knock theirs off and replace it with one of themselves, they don't lose the doubling. But if that falling pallet falls out of the district, oh, that could be painful for them. And that could really suck. Now, match number 14 is coming up very, very shortly in just 30 seconds. We have in the green, we have RGS Guildford. In the orange, we have Gymnasium Markt Indersdorf, Team MAI. We have in the pink, we have Brockenhurst, Team BRK, their final appearance for the virtual competition, for the Virtual League today. And in the yellow, we have Team BPV, Team Barton Peveril. Teams will play a grand total of 4 matches today. So here we go, match number 14. Let's go. All 4 robots nicely springing off there into action. Team MAI bumping apparently that pallet for some reason. It's an interesting strategy. Let's see if it pays off. We have as well, there's a lot of teams that seem to be trying to pretend like they are carrying a pallet, but actually, unfortunately, not quite all of them at the moment. Now, there's still a lot of movement with no pallets collected at the moment. Let's see, can Barton Peveril change that? No, not quite. Driving past one of the pallets. That's unfortunate to see. RGS Guildford spinning around.
Yes, Brockenhurst College just managing to leave their starting zone now. let's see if they manage to pick up this pallet that they're aiming for. Ooh, it's looking close. And they have done it. Yes, wow. Oh, no, put it back down. Oh, some interesting action going on. We've got one of the tokens appears to be still stuck to the robot, and I'm not quite sure what it's attempting to do there. Up with the MAI robot. We'll have to wait and see.
Yes, we will. There's a bit of a contention on one of those districts. We have one pallet from MAI, one pallet from RGS. They're both at the same level, so they will both get the 2 points from that. If one team can just move theirs a little bit higher or add another one in a bit higher, they will be able to get that doubling, which will be really helpful.
Indeed.
Yeah, now unfortunately there, RGS Guildford getting into a bit of a tussle. They were so close to dropping that pallet, but it seems a small bug may have resulted in them actually throwing that pallet across the arena. Now in this, these are functionally aimed to be cardboard boxes, and so they are quite light. It doesn't take much to propel them, and so yes, they can actually fly quite far if you knock them. There we go. That is the end. Match number 14 is finished. Very, very well done, teams. Very well done. Now, I believe we have a little bit of a photo after some of this. Yes, here is that palette from that central district. Unfortunately, because it's just off the edge, unfortunately, that means that RGS do not get the points for that palette. The palette must be completely inside the district to score points. Even that small corner is enough for it not to be in the district and not to score any points. That's unfortunate for them. That means they finish in second place in this match, but still, incredible performances from all of our teams. Very well done.
Indeed, indeed. That is just another demonstration of how important that accuracy is when depositing pallets.
Yes, it is. Now, I believe we have match number 15 coming up, Oscar. Who are we expecting to see?
So, in the green corner, Zone 0, we have King Edward VI Grammar School. They've won both their previous matches, so let's see what happens here. We've got the Ladies' College in the orange zone. Now, they usually aim for that close high-rise, and then not much else happens, but we'll have to see if they manage to move forward this side this time. HRO, Headington Rye in the pink zone, and with their final appearance, NHH Now a Hill in the yellow. Looks like it could be an interesting match here with a few things to watch out for.
Yeah, King Edward VI, they're a very, very strong team. The points they have on the board really show that, and so what they do in this match is going to be very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it.
And they are off! All four teams springing out of their starting zones, moving around. HRO's robot isn't quite sure what it's aiming for yet. Oh, NHH looking to have one of those invisible pallets again, which unfortunately don't score points. King Edward's lining up very slowly on that high rise there. That's looking good. And they've managed to plonk it on top. Slow and steady seems to be very key here.
They do say it wins the race.
Indeed. Indeed. Now, TLC appear to be trying to pick up one of those other pallets, but not sure if they're managing to locate it or not. Meanwhile, King Edward moving in with a second pallet on top. That's a nice tall stack which would prove hard to beat if any other teams get a pallet in there. Meanwhile, NHH attempting to line up on some of their other pallets. They're not quite managing it yet. Oh, TLC aiming for that very central high rise. Not quite on top of there, but it does look like it's still in the zone. That's very good. Oh, a bit of sabotage from the NHH robot, driving straight into Keg's stack.
Yeah, knocking it over and knocking one of those pallets out of the district entirely.
And of course, losing them that doubling effect, as there's now nothing stacked up.
Yeah, a quick move that took quite a few points away there from King of the Zig.
Yeah. Oh, now they're lining up for that central high-rise in the central district. That should help regain them some of those points there. Meanwhile, the other robot's not quite sure what's going on. HROs appears to have stopped in the bottom. Oh, what's happening with TLC's robot? Is it trying to pick up Keg's pallet? Not quite sure. NHH appears to just be stopped in that top corner. Now we're approaching the final seconds of the match. Will any of them manage to get one last pallet in? And we are it. Now, I'm very curious to see what's happened with that TLC pallet. Yes. Now they've managed to just get that inside the scoring zone. That was very good work from them.
Yeah, that's really, really close. That could have been... Yeah, that's what? Maybe 2 centimeters if that was nudged with slightly more power or from a slightly different angle. That would have made the difference and potentially could have dropped them a number of points and potentially dropped them down a place. Fortunately, they have got those points. They did finish second in that match. Fantastic performances from all of our teams in that match. But that does just go to show you that the line between scoring points and not scoring points is incredibly thin.
Indeed, indeed.
Now, match number 16 is going to be the next match we have. A lot of high-scoring teams here. We have in the green, in Zone 0, we have Hampton School. They've done again very well in previous matches, and I'm hoping they'll be able to repeat that performance. Abingdon School are the team in the orange. Again, very high-scoring team so far. Could be very interesting, not only seeing what they do, but how these two top teams interact, because they've both scored very well so far. In the pink, HWM, we have Harris Westminster School. And finally, last but not least, but also their last appearance for the Virtual League, we have Team WGS, Wisbech Grammar School, in the yellow. Let's transition over with a nice wipe over to our into our arena and get the match underway. There we go. Abingdon School very quick off the line, lining up straight towards that pallet. Wisbech Grammar School equally quick off the line, but not quite grabbing one of their pallets, potentially instead trying to steal one of Hampton School's. Not the best tactic, but I guess it is a tactic nonetheless. They have in fact gone to steal it. Are they going to give their points to their opponents? I really hope not. Now, Harris Westminster School there, sitting in the bottom right hand, even corner. Again, let's see, it looks like they're trying to find something, potentially not quite turning enough to be able to see some of their pallets, but still plenty of time to go for. In the meantime, Abingdon School taking full advantage of the 30 seconds they've had in the match so far. That is 2 pallets into one of the districts, lining up a third for that central district. Can they drop it on? It's in the district by the looks of it. It is not quite on that high rise, but that might be okay because so far it is uncontested, and so they are the highest one in there, and so they should get some points. Fantastic performance from them, lining up towards their 4th pallet. Can they do it? Yes. Again, into that district, again a doubling. Really, really strong performances there. That is a lot of points very quickly, and because they have the highest ones in there, they are doubled 2. All in a minute and a half. Very strong performance from Abingdon. Now, Hampton School there in the green. They have got that green pallet. They're lining up towards that central district. Will they be able to do it? I don't know. Oh, not quite. That's not in the district completely, and so it doesn't count as in at all. Will they be able to nudge it in the right direction? maybe if the Abingdon School robot has something to say about it at least. I see, no, it looks like instead they're going for a different district. It is on top, which means they will get a doubling. Double 2 is 4, which is larger than 3, so I have been told, which means that is actually more points, even though it is further away and in a further out district.
Yes, it's important to note that your pallet has to be off the floor for it to be in contention as the highest pallet, and therefore to double that district.
Yes, thank you, Oscar. Yes, the ones that are on the floor do not count as for the doubling, but at least we can see in that top right-hand district, Abingdon School has one on the high-rise, and so that one will be doubled. That is the end, match number 16. Very, very well done, team. Some strong performing ones, lots of pallets moving around, and some very interesting strategies that are coming out from some of these teams.
Yes, let's have a closer look at that central district.
Oh, that makes things even more interesting. Now, the angle that we had, we couldn't quite see it, but our scoring team can see anything and everything, and they always do. They noticed, actually, that pallet slightly outside of the line there, which means, unfortunately, they do not get the points for that. Which means Abingdon School do not get those 3 points that would have been available for that pallet being in that district. That is unfortunate.
Doesn't appear to have had much of an effect, though. They've still managed to take first place.
They have 13 game points in total for them. Very, very strong performances from all of our teams. In fact, actually, that was a very, very interesting match. And I think one of the things that was interesting is it goes to show, actually, with Hampton School there, demonstrating that actually the difference between putting your pallet in the central district, it's smaller, it's harder to get to, it's contested, versus putting it on top of the slightly further out high rise. The further out high rise is actually worth more points versus it, and is theoretically that bit easier. And so again, this shows the variety of potential strategies and potential ways to score points in this game, which is intentionally by design, honest.
Yes, now on our next match we have MAI in the green, PSC in the orange on their final appearance, the strong performing MDN in pink, who have won both matches so far, and HAB in the yellow. Now, get ready, and they're off. We've got all 4 robots making it swiftly out of their starting zone. Haberdasher's grabbing one of MDN's tokens there. That's certainly interesting. I wonder if that will mess up MDM's strategy. And, oh, that's a... Is that a stack just outside of the central district? Can't quite tell. There does appear to be an MAI pallet underneath of an MDN one. I can't quite tell if either are in that central district.
I don't think they are. I think they have the edges pushing over that tape, so I think sadly neither of them are inside that central district, which is unfortunate. But they might get nugged in the remaining minute and 40 seconds.
Haberdash is being very generous to MDN there, putting 2 of their pallets in a scoring district. And MAI coming along with one of PSC's pallets and knocking it off the high-rise. Lots of very interesting things going on and lots of generosity.
Yeah, giving points to other teams is generally considered a bad idea, I think.
Yes, although I wonder if it will mess up Team MDN's strategy of getting lots of pallets piled high in one district now that they've all been moved. It certainly appears to have had an effect, as they're certainly circling more than they used to. And now MAI picking up one of the... Oh, looks like that was just knocked on the high-rise and didn't quite land in the district. Have to see if they can nudge it back in. And they're moving. Still some action going on. Haberdashers again being very generous towards MDN. I wonder if they are not checking which corner they should be in. We'll have to look at their logs. Yes. Oh, MDN have been driving around with that pallet for a while. Have not quite sure what's going on there. Are they aiming for the central district or one of the outer ones? It's hard to
5
say.
seconds, let's see.
And it's all over. All over.
Yes, it is. Very, very well done, teams. Very well done. Haberdash is their very interesting strategy of giving points to your opponents. This is still a competition. We're all here because we enjoy it. I would still recommend trying to keep some points for yourself. Unfortunately, we can't give you points because you're a nice team. That isn't really how this works. It is a competition. But strong performances all around from a lot of these teams.
Yes, it's important to note though that Hab appear to have messed up MDN's tactics, as this is their lowest scoring game. So who knows what that tactic could lead to in the physical competition.
Yeah, there's teams can sort of fluctuate again. I think, as you've said in the past, it can really depend on which teams you're up against as to how well a strategy works out. Lots of teams, they might adapt their strategy either based on the teams they're up against, on the state of the arena, whether things were left where they left them, various things like that. There's various degrees that a team might want to tweak exactly what they're doing. And that is how you build proper, intelligent movement into your robot. Now, match number 18 is coming up. The final appearances in the Virtual League for all 4 of these teams. We have in the green, Hazelwick. We have in the orange, we have Team RGS Royal Grammar School Guildford. In the orange, not in the orange, that is the orange. In the pink, we have King Edward the Sixth School. And in the yellow, we have the College of Rich Collier, Team CLY. Let's see how this match goes. Very nice movement off the line there from King Edward VI and from Collier's. King Edward VI pushing one of those pallets and grabbing it. That works fine. RGS Guildford pushing quite a lot of pallets across the entire arena, which is a very interesting tactic, moving things, potentially polluting up the pool of pallets that Colliers might go for. It's possible that if they're not filtering those the pallets they're seeing correctly, they may end up moving someone else's, which would be very generous of them, but not particularly competitive. Now,
indeed,
Hazelwick School are actually there again. They've lined up towards that central plinth perfectly, nice and slowly, very precise, lined up to it. But unfortunately, they haven't got a pallet there. Collier's, however, showing that actually, if you put a pallet there, it can stay there and you can get some points for it. Which means that not only is that a set of 2 points for them for getting a pallet in the district at all, but currently, because it's the highest, that's 4 points for them, which is very well deserved from that great performance, even pushing the Hazelwig robot out the way to make sure that their pallet is securely on that raised platform. Now, RGS Guildford, that's a lot of movement there. That's pushing a pallet not quite into a district, a lot of driving around. Unfortunately, they haven't quite been able to pick up any pallets so far and drop them in. There's some talk in the chat actually around as to exactly what the 3,000 lines of code is doing. I don't know. Probably 3,000 lines worth of stuff. But it's a lot of movement coming from them, and there's still 30 seconds. They could still grab some pallets and hopefully get them into a district.
Indeed. It looks like the Collier's token has fallen off of that plinth, though. Not quite sure what happened there.
Oh, that's unfortunate. They still get points for it nonetheless, but unfortunately the doubling is removed. So 4, from what I'm aware, now drops down to 2, if I can do maths properly. Now, somehow, Collier's as well, they have picked up one pallet, but there's another actually sitting on top of the back of their robot. Somehow. No idea how that happened, no idea how that's possible, but it's still a pallet that is being carried. There we go. That is the end. Match number 18 has finished. Fantastic performances from all teams there. Very, very well done. Collier's there was particularly interesting. They were doing quite well with that, getting a pallet onto the Hazelwick's robot, just slightly nudged it off, which is a real shame. But Collier's still second place in that match, which is very well deserved for that performance. Very, very well done. King up with the sixth, silently, quietly putting one pallet onto that raised platform on the district, giving them the win in this match.
Yes, now there was a final appearance for each of those teams, so there's nothing more they can do now. It's all up to the other teams as we approach match 19.
Yeah, let's take a very quick look at the league table. Let's see how things are going. Right at the top there, RGS Guildford still holding that lead. We have right up there fantastic performances from them. They have, I believe, only had 3 of their appearances today, not all 4, so that lead could increase. Again, they do only have 6 game points though, which is very interesting. Possibly means they're being weighted a little bit by the teams they've been up against.
Now let's see who's playing this match. So we have
the list.
We have Sog in green, Hay in orange, QMC in pink, and ABS in yellow. 3 of these teams on their final appearance, so it's all to play for. And they're off. ABS driving straight out of their zone, same with Hay and QMC. Sog unfortunately appears to have stalled again. Not quite sure what's going on there. Have to really investigate their logs and see if they can work out what's caused this issue. Some interesting work from ABS, managing to get 1 pallet in and quickly lining up a second on top of it. Oh, and going next to it, not going for that double stack. It's interesting. The Hayden School robot appears to have stalled on the central plinth too. Again, not quite sure what's going on there. They'll have to investigate. ABS quickly moving into that central district and getting a pallet in there. Meanwhile, QMC quietly working away and stacking up 2 pallets on top of that outer high rise and getting a 3rd in there. Oh, and I'm not quite sure if that 3rd ABS pallet is in that zone. Have to wait and see.
Yeah, it looks like it might be, but even the slightest nudge could push that out.
Like that. That might have just knocked it out. We'll have to pay close attention. Our scorers, of course, will have investigated this very closely. Now, ABS quickly moving on with their last pallet. Oh, heading for the central high-rise. Yes, that looks beyond there. And it will, as it's off the ground, it is in contention to double that whole district. Very good. Now they appear to be shunting around Hayden's pallets. There. Now, in the final 30 seconds of the match, QMC have managed to get 4 tokens towards the zone. I'm not sure if that 5th one's in. I don't quite think so.
I don't think so. Let's see. This is going to get right up to the line, possibly, with just 10 seconds. Oh, look at that.
That's some very interesting behaviour.
That is savage there from Queen Mary's colleagues, knocking that pallet from Abingdon School straight off. Oh,
now let's have a very close look at that ABS pallet. It is in.
It's just in, yes. That one gives them the points from that district. Great performance there. Commiseration for having that pallet pushed off by that team with just a few seconds left on the clock. That is so sad to see.
That did result in a tie for first place between ABS and QMC.
Very well deserved from both teams. Team QMC there, they had so many pallets there in that bottom right-hand corner district. I think they had almost all of theirs bar one that they had in there. There was a huge amount of points there, all doubled because they had one on the high rise. But it was just that final move right at the end to go, no, you know what? We want that one in the middle, and we're gonna take it, and they did. And their points clearly reflect that quite ballsy move, to be perfectly honest. I love it when we have that kind of last minute contention in a match. It makes things incredible to watch.
Yeah, I'm seeing some teams asking when their next appearance is. If you head over to our website, you'll be able to see the full day's schedule.
Yes, you will, and that will also be up to date and true for the physical competition when we get there in April. Now, next match number 20 coming up now. Final appearances from all 4 of these teams in the league for the virtual component of it anyway. We have Team MDN, Midsummer Northern Friends. We have Bart Peveril in the orange. We have the Highfield School in the pink. And in the yellow, we have King Edward VI Grammar School. MDN and King Edward VI have actually won all of their matches so far. So let's see who of the 2 of them is going to win this one. Now, very quick movement of the line at MDN. They have moved straight in, not quite getting it on the central high rise, but they have been able to get it onto the floor of the district, which still gives them 3 points. Fantastic performance there. Similarly, King Edward VI going, and in fact the Highfield School, both going for high rises on the middle ring of districts. Another set of 4 points for both of those teams. Fantastic performances. Let's see if they can do the same thing. Oh, strange bit of flying there from Team MDN's pallet. Not entirely sure what happened there, but it looks like their team accidentally knocked it straight off of that high rise and over. That's unfortunate to see. They have stacked it, which is something they have clearly found that pallet, but unfortunately it's not in a district, so that is unfortunate.
I think we've seen a bit of how MDN's strategy works there. That first pallet obviously blocks the marker on the central high rise, so they line up to it instead. Fortunately, we've just seen how that can go wrong.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. But there, the Highfield School there, taking advantage of the central high rise being completely empty, claiming it from themselves away from MDN as theirs flew away. And it looks like we might be... Oh, no. Unfortunately, King of the Six, you can't stack three pallets on top of each other on top of a high-rise. But it is still in the district, which means you will still get the points for that pallet nonetheless. Strong performances in that. That one district has an incredible number of points for that team. But it wouldn't take much for one stray robot to accidentally knock it all over. Now, 30 seconds left. Bart and Peveril now. Let's look at them up in the top right-hand corner. They've done reasonably well in the competition so far, but in this match at the very least, they haven't unfortunately been able to get any points so far. That's unfortunate. 15 seconds. Will they be able to snap things through? I'm more interested in looking at King Edward VI Grammar School. They're lining up potentially towards that central pedestal. Are we going to get another contentious thing as we drop down a 0, 2, 1, 0? No, not quite, but that's really close. Where on earth did that finish? Let's take a closer look. Now, this is how the match finished when the clock hit 0. These are how they are pallet. We have the Headington School in the pink, theirs being on the high rise, and in the yellow we have King Edward VI. Now with this, THS's pallet is the one which is considered the highest. Now I'm sure you're wondering why it's the highest. It's clearly not the highest. The yellow one is higher, but a pallet may not be considered the highest if it is in contact with a robot. Whilst theirs is in contact with a robot, it cannot be considered the highest, which means it does not count as the highest. It does count as being inside the district because it vertically is projected inside that district, but it does not count as the highest. The highest, and thus the doubling, is awarded to the Highfield School. Oh, I do love some of these very technical rules. But yes, the Highfield School won that point, won the doubling, didn't quite win the match. In fact, King Edward VI grabbed that just by 2 points, but Very, very strong performances from those teams. Very, very well done.
Indeed. Now, as we're moving into match 21, again, 4 final appearances. We've got TLC in green, one of the more consistent teams. We've got MAI in orange, SHK in pink, and HAM in yellow. Some fairly balanced on their mean game points across there, so we'll have to see what happens here. Now, we are ready, and here we are. And they are off. Oh, MAI rapidly speeding out of their zone, heading straight for a pallet there. But, oh, and now they're trying to line up. Okay, now we've got Ham with a pallet. They appear to be trying to look for a destination for it. Meanwhile, in the background, TLC quietly stacking a pallet on. Oh, and Hams has just rolled out of that scoring district. Unfortunate there. Oh, SHK being interesting. They managed to knock MAI's pallet off that central high rise and out of the district. We'll have to wait and see if it remains there or not. Oh, and now some robots still moving around. Some looking for pallets. Oh, and Hampton just missing that high rise again, though it is in the district, I think. And MAI appeared to knock their own pallet off that high rise. I can't quite tell if it's in the scoring zone. We'll have to see. TLC possibly attempting to drop an invisible pallet into the central zone. SHK looked to be doing the same thing.
Oh, now we just saw Gymnasium Industore there being brutal and knocking the Ladies College Guernsey's pallet clean off of that high place, off of the high rise. Now, they will still get the points. The Ladies College Guernsey's pallet did still land in the district, but they don't get the doubling anymore.
Oh, and some interesting things in that central district. There was SHK's pink on there. Then Hampton came along and knocked it off and claimed it, before TLC quickly came along and knocked off the Hampton one, unfortunately not managing to stay on there. Bit of quick swapping. SHK attempting to reclaim it, but not quite lining up. Now, let's see what happens in these last few seconds of the match. Very interesting scoring here. Very interesting. Curious to see who is actually in that central district.
Yeah, that's a lot of pallets, and in fact, currently, as we can see, it's actually obscured by one of the robots. Mr. Producer, let's have a different look. There we go.
Yes, so as you can see, the SHK pallet clearly outside, and the Hampton pallet clearly in. The TLC's pallet is also very clearly inside that scoring zone.
Yeah, great performances from them. Very, very well done. TLC's in, SHK's out, unfortunately, but great performances from all three of those teams. These kind of hustles, these kinds of contentious moments are what make competitions like this quite so dramatic, for lack of a better word.
Indeed, yeah. And that just goes to show what can happen if teams focus on that very central district too much.
Yes, it does. Now, coming up next, we have match number 22. Now, I said there's 23 matches, but we start at 0. Match 22 is the final match for today's Virtual League, which, of course, by definition means it is the final appearance for the 4 robots going into it. So, let's have a look at who they are. In the green, we have Team HWM. We have Harris Westminster. In the orange, we have Haberdashers, Team HAB. In the pink, we have Headington Rise School, Oxford, in corner number 2. And in corner number 3, in the yellow, we have St. Olaf's Grammar School, Team SOG. Now, so far, Team SR2025 haven't actually been able to score any game points so far, which is really unfortunate to see, but I'm really hoping the robot springs into life in this match. Let's take a look. There we go. Very quick movement off the line there from Headington Rye Oxford, turning right straight into our arena wall. Not a very good strategy, but it's movement nonetheless. If we want to see what good movement looks like, we can look at the Haberdasher Boys School. Nicely grabbing one pallet straight onto their high-rise in just 20 seconds. Great performance from them. Let's see if they can continue that trend. Harris Westminster Sixth Form looks like they're trying to find something in our arena. Not completely sure what. I would assume right now it's a pallet, but we will have to wait and see. Haberdashers, however, taking full advantage of the uncontested arena at the moment. That's 2 pallets straight onto the high-rise. That is double points for them. With 2 points, with 2 pallets being in there, that is 4 doubled. I believe that means that is 8 game points for them. And there is still plenty of time to go. Now, we'll be interested to see what their strategy is going to be. Are they going to aim to put more pallets into that district, or are they going to try and diversify their pallet portfolio, as it were? Try and spread them across the districts? No. Oh, and they've actually toppled it over. That's unfortunate to see. And actually, I believe from this angle means that bottom left-hand pallet, from our point of view, is over that white line and doesn't count. That is unfortunate to see. Unfortunately, that means that pallet is not worth any points for them.
Be interesting to see if the other pallet down the bottom is in or out as well.
Yeah, I think it's out, but we will have to see. Let's see now. Haberdasher School, they've picked up one more pallet. It looks like they're trying to line up to something, but my guess is that the pallet in front of them is obscuring their camera a little bit, and their robot might be getting a little bit confused as to what it's trying to find. That's unfortunate to see. 30 seconds left now. Let's see what happens. Potentially not a whole lot of much, unfortunately. Headington Rye School moving off very quickly, but straight into the bottom. We have Harris Westminster Sixth Form trying to find something in our arena. And we have St. Olave's Grammar School, again, unfortunately not quite having moved off the line. That's unfortunate. And in 5 seconds, I believe that is going to be the end of the match. Yes, it is. There we go. End of match number 22. Very, very well done, teams. Very well done.
I'd just like to take this moment to give you a reminder that all the scores from the matches are on our website if you would like to see how you've done in a particular match.
Yes, not only can you see the total state of the league at the moment, which we will go through in just a second, but you can also see the outcome of any and all matches from the virtual league and soon to be in the physical competition in April. Now, match number 22 has finished, and that does mean that is the end of the virtual competition. So we've seen quite a lot of things happen in this competition so far. We've had some highs, we've had some lows, we've seen some struggles, and we've had some amazingly high scoring games. After this, teams will get the logs from their runs shortly after the event to make sure that they can use the lessons learned not only from watching the event, but also from the logs to tune their robots, tune their strategies, so that when they come up into the physical competition, they are poised to score as many points as possible, remove all those pesky bugs, and progress through. Now, let's take a look at what the current state of the league table is. Right at the top, still from this morning. No, in fact, they've been knocked down. RGS Guildford now down in 5th. Right at the top, we have King Edward VI Grammar School, Team KEG, sitting at the top. They actually won all of their matches in the virtual league today. Incredible performances from them. Followed closely by Team QMC and Team ABS. Not only are they top 3 in the league, but they were also top 3 for teams in the virtual league today. That means we can see not only those challenge points are useful, but sometimes scoring more points in games is also very important too. QMC and ABS won 3 of their 4 matches. QMC actually, they only came second because KEG won their other match number 8. So, Following down, we have the highest rookie so far. We have the Highfield School, THS, in 4th. Followed closely by another rookie team, Team MDN, in 6th, with 51 league points for them. And of course, progressing down right the way down, we have quite a few teams in various places. I think, again, picking out very interesting, the School of St. Helens and St. Catherine's, again, another rookie team, their first time competing in Student Robotics. 39 league points for them, 16 game points, incredible performances from them. NHH, again, slightly further down, position 21, 19 league points for them. Again, I cannot say enough as to quite how incredibly impressive it is that they are getting this many game points this early in the competition, and the fact that they are doing all of this having never competed in Student Robotics before. Fantastic performances from all of them. Now, I think as we move into the physical competition, Oscar, are there any teams that are sort of jumping out as the ones you're going to be very interested to look for in the physical competition?
I'll be certainly interested to see what Team MDN do. They've certainly shown some good strategy in the virtual league, so we'll have to see if they manage to translate that across to the physical one.
Yeah, MDN, and particularly the fact not only have they done as well as they have, but the fact that they're a rookie team as well, having never done anything remotely like this before, getting into 6th place in our league at the moment and having performed so well and actually quite consistently in our competition so far is going to be really interesting to keep an eye on. Now, this does mark basically the end of today's event. Oscar, what's coming up for the rest of the competition year?
So, up next we have one of our tech days. Now these are opportunities for teams to refine and get some expert help from us blue shirts. The first one of those is in Horsham on the 15th of Feb. Now that's just before the final challenge deadline on the 22nd. So it could be a chance to get some advice on where they're not quite there yet. Remember, those challenges can prove vital as they give you extra league points. One final tech day on the 8th of March in Cambridge before we have the physical competition on the 12th and 13th of April at the University of Southampton. Now, the physical and the virtual league, there are a few differences. So, the physical, they both give you the league points and they both go towards the same league. And they also both play the same game. However, in the physical league, teams will have to have built their own robots. So that's where we can really see what strategies they're going for and how they've managed to tie the design and strategy together. So I'd like to really thank the competitors for all their hard work so far, as well as their supervisors for giving them all the support and advice. Also like to thank all the other volunteers, both those who've been helping us here by keeping an eye on the chat, but also those who scored the matches previously and offered lots of advice to teams via Discord, as well as our trustees who help make sure that while we focus on the business of actually running and helping teams, they keep everything moving along in the background. Finally, I'd like to once again thank our sponsors, particularly the University of Southampton and the UK Electronic Skills Foundation. I'm going to wish all the teams best of luck for the physical competition. We'll see you in April. Goodbye.
Very good luck, everyone. Goodbye.